Is Eastern Exorcist worth our time? We're going to find out. Welcome, everyone, to episode 154 of 1 Hour, 1 Decision, 1H1D. I am Chris.
And I am Tom.
And we take 60 minutes and play a random game on Xbox Game Pass and decide, well, Tom, is this a alliteration or a accident worth our time?
I guess, there was no Western alliteration there to Exorcist. That's not a word.
Western witch hunter. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
We'll
not the game here, though. This is definitely from the East.
This is definitely from the East. And this game, Eastern Exorcist, was developed by Wildfire Game. I think it was singular, not plural.
Hey, translation.
Translation sometimes. This game did come out in May of 2023. I play this on the PC, 6.58 gigabytes on the PC. Tom, what about you?
Ever so slightly smaller on the Series S, 6.29 gigabytes.
Okay.
A savings.
The savings that Wildfire Game did on this particular game. Good on you. What kind of game is it?
Well, I'm keeping this alliteration going by saying side-scrolling action RPG.
Yeah, I put 2D action / Souls-like ?
Yeah, I see it. I don't disagree.
Yeah, there's
what do you have for the game loop? Let's
that game loop. That game loop I have is defeat enemies in a zone to progress to the next one. How about you?
I have use combos to defeat enemies to level up your character and advance the plot.
Okay, that's right. That's right. And what else is right is we got to talk about those things that we liked. So,
yeah. Well, I will say I liked what they chose for the enemies. Like they're these demon enemies. But at least at the beginning, they're all reptilian. Yeah. So I'm like, I'm on board. Snake people, lizard people.
Yeah. I would think that you would not like it because you generally like to be the reptilian or snake.
You are correct. And my second note or sub note on that is, can I just play as these guys instead? That's what I wanted to.
Okay, that's fair.
So you got me there.
Yeah. Well, I will say the game does have a nice aesthetic to it. It has a clear art style, and I think it all looks really good. Like it has that kind of like that painterly look to it. This is based in and correct me if I'm wrong, but like I guess some sort of ancient Chinese kind of folk tale kind of era, and because of that, it is it has those like. It has like the wind kind of stuff that it's just something very fluid about how it looks, and yeah, everything looks like character designs, at least from what we've seen so far, look pretty good, yeah, that was kind of cool. And this is a side scrolling action RPG, like you mentioned. I thought the combat mechanics were actually pretty good.
I like that you can't just hit like attack.
Right.
You have to pay attention to your timing, your tactics. You have to block. You have to dodge. So, when you put Souls like, I'm like, yeah, you aren't going to just be able to shove your way through by brute forcing it. Like, no, you have to play the game a certain way.
Absolutely.
And get comfortable with timing and things like that. So
I will say they did a great job with the combat. Specifically, you literally have one button to do your attacks, but it still feels pretty varied because of the way that the combos are kind of laid out, at least how they explain it. So you have, your typical, you can mash the buttons away and your character will do essentially like a 3-button attack there. But if you tap it twice, pause, and then tap again, there's another attack. I think that attack is generally like a kind of a stronger attack of some sort. And then, you hold down the attack button, there's a charge button there, which is like definitely better for enemies with a shield of some sort. It kind of walks you through all that stuff. And I was like, that's pretty impressive that they were able to kind of break things up all with one button. So I was like, good on them. Of course, like you said, there's a dodge, there's a block, and then a parry button, which is on a separate button too, a separate. Yeah, it's the left trigger for Xbox players. So yeah, I was pretty surprised about that.
I think it's interesting that mixed into the combat, there's a dispel mechanic. I guess hence the Exorcist in the title of the game, right? If you knock down an enemy, kill an enemy, but don't act quick enough, the enemy gets back up and is harder than the vanilla version of him. So
that's right.
You do have to manage, fighting a couple of enemies, but you need to do the coup de grace. You have to do the killing blow to dispel the enemies. Otherwise, they will get back up. And if a couple of these guys get back up at once, you're in real trouble.
Oh, yeah. Because do they get a second health bar? Or was it that it's just a larger health?
I think they hit harder. And there was something about them. I think you're right that their health fully replenishes. I think it might be more. And they certainly hit harder. So, or maybe they're more aggressive. I'm not 100% sure what it was. But
yeah, I definitely tried to dispel them as much as I could. Because I did see, like, if you just wait around, they'll sit there and you'll see this dispel meter kind of fill up. And as it starts to fill up, if you don't hit it in time, they come right back up and they try to beat the snot out of you. So that's not great. That's not great. But what is pretty cool is the animations. I thought overall were pretty cool. I picked I should also mention that the game gives you a choice of who you want to play with, because there's a male character and a female character.
Yes.
And I just randomly picked it, and I got the female character. Oh. And and then it was kind of cool when she goes into combat. She kind of does almost like a Super Saiyan, like her hair kind of floats up, and like her she has some sort of, I apologize, I know there's probably a better word for it. Like, it's like a spear, but it's broken up in on her back. So when she pulls it out, she like snaps it together. It's a cool little animation, and like even her attack patterns are really cool. So that was neat to see that. And did you pick her as well, or?
I did. So unfortunately, we do not have a comparison.
What a shame.
I committed when I started making my notes to doing like this purple pink aesthetic.
Okay.
And because of her style on the in the image, and so I was like, I'm picking the girl.
All right. Okay, that's fair. Well, maybe someone will play the guy and tell us. But I thought that was kind of cool. What else did you like about this game?
I liked having that choice for sure. Mm-hmm. I liked that there are lots of upgrades and items that allow you to kind of custom build your experience. Yeah. You don't have to, right from the very early in the game, they're giving you like 3 or 4 different items. So you got to pick. You can only pick one, at least at first. Mm-hmm. So, I picked something that just made my slash hit harder, but I could have picked, a number of other possibilities. And so I guess that gives you some replay, right? And it also gives you some flexibility in terms of how do I want to approach this,
Right. With the approaching, I thought that this tutorial was pretty extensive. You essentially, like the first, first few levels or like sections of the game, zones or whatever, it's just they were just kind of walking you through how to play the game.
Yeah.
So I thought, again, like how deep the combat was. I thought it was good that they did show us how to do that. And it wasn't the at least the pages that showed up were not overly wordy, because it was so it was good in that sense. And there seemed to be like extra modes in the game too, outside of the tutorial mode and obviously the campaign or the story mode. There's like a challenge mode too, so you can kind of test your might and climb the ranks, I guess, in terms of the enemy types that you deal with throughout the game. So I thought that was kind of neat to be able to try that out. So anything else you want to bring up here?
Yes, my last is tangential to what you just said, which I appreciate, which is that at the end of the first chapter, it makes you go through kind of like a recap of all the moves, to show that you are kind of competent with all of them. before moving on. So it
Right.
makes you kind of do each of these things 3 times to demonstrate your acumen with them and be like, okay, you've got the basic moves down.
Yeah.
You can move on with the game.
Yeah. And I guess the other nice thing is you could also skip it if you just jump to the end of that area. It's just kind of like, oh, you want to skip this? Like, yeah, you can do that. So good on them to give that choice. But now we have good choices and bad choices.
Yes.
So let's get into those bad choices in this game.
So kind of related to the tutorial.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Like the tutorial kept showing me the same tip.
Yep.
And it made me think I wasn't doing it, but I was doing it. It wasn't very clear a lot of the times that you needed to successfully do it 3 times in order to move forward.
Yeah.
It didn't give you like a 1 out of 2, 2 out of, 1 out of 3, 2 out of 3, 3 out of 3.
Yeah.
It just was like, oh, you did it. Okay. Now what? Oh, I guess I got to do it again.
Right.
And I was like, am I not doing it? Am I missing the third part of it?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, I felt like that tutorial, like while the tutorial was extensive, I agree with you. I felt like that it was kind of buggy because there were certain situations like where it would show you the moves or like tell you every particular move set that you need to do. Like for example, the combo I was telling you about before, where you have to tap attack twice, pause, and then attack again. It almost like had like that fighting when you're doing playing like a fighting game like a Street Fighter or whatnot.
Yeah,
where it would kind of like it would detect your like what you were pressing and like. As you progress down, it would like, check off that particular section. And then to your point, it would say like, okay, that's one of 3, 2 of 3, 3 of 3. But then like literally the next time it does it, it was like that whole thing's gone. And I'm like, oh God, like what am I doing now? So, and then on top of that, I felt like they overemphasized the tutorial a bit because as I was going through the game, there were a lot of times like I was just kind of, going from right to left or left to right. And a pop-up would show up and it wouldn't go away as I was going through the zone. I was like, okay, leave me alone. Like I got it. I think I got it. So that was definitely odd to deal with. And this game, oh, sorry, go ahead, Tom.
No, I was going to say, adding to that, the tutorial isn't the only thing that blocks your screen. There are these like layers sometimes in terms of how the game is presented. Yep. Where it's like, let's say you're in a building and you're moving up a floor, like the building blocks your view. So there was a lot of times where I was like, I couldn't see my character. And it seems like kind of like a weird choice where I'm like staring at the outside of a building or something. And it's like, well, I know where my character is, but like this wall should be invisible so I could see my character move through it.
Right. I mean, I know some games did that like in an artistic kind of way, but that's usually when you're like doing one particular movement, right? You're not trying to actually do clear a path or whatever it is. You're just going from left to right or right to left again. So, in without any breaks, so to speak. And as pretty as this game was, and as cool as some of the animations were, you and I actually wrote this both the very first thing. It felt like a Flash game at some points.
You put Flash, I put mobile, but we both meant the same thing.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like a game that belongs on a console.
Right.
To me, the animations felt like they were missing frames.
Right.
There was a lot of like repetition in the animation. So like even that girl's cool move where she assembles her.
Right.
I would use the word falchion.
There you go.
Halberd.
There you go.
But yeah, every time she puts it together, it's like it got irritating to me. Like it's like, okay, I get it. You transform into a demon girl and you put your spear together. But I need like more frames of animation in this for me to enjoy this.
Yeah. I mean, like as cool as her animations were, like the other the reptiles and like the other demons. They just kind of do that and
squabble.
Like you could almost see the little points of like their arms, like the guy kind of like moving, like they were on a string.
Yeah, like
that's
marionettes.
How they felt like. Yeah, exactly. They're very much like marionettes, and it felt weird, and like it was just very disjointed, and that. So that was like, I was trying to think of positive things there. And like, that was a cool animation, I would say. And like, her overall like attack moves were kind of cool. Everything else was just kind of like, okay, this is very Flash game, like, you know, Newgrounds or something like that. I obviously see it on, but yeah, the other thing that was really odd, and again, I think you and I put this on there maybe in different ways, but the audio, was very odd. You mentioned that the voice acting was just grunts. I heard voice acting.
The voice acting starts as just grunts. So like
right.
for the introductory levels and things like that, you just hear and then eventually there is some voice acting that's all in Chinese.
Right.
Which is fine. It's just that like the game didn't start with that. So I'm just like, oh, I'm just going to listen to be grunting all the time.
Yeah.
And then it just didn't seem consistent.
Yeah. And on top of that, every so often there would be a full motion video. And what was funny about the videos is at the top right corner, it'll tell you like, hey, if the screen just freezes, just skip this. Like during the video playback, just skip it. I'm like, huh. Okay, they're not very confident about what they're doing here. So,
wow, and I must have missed that, or it's not on the Xbox version.
I don't know, but it was very odd. And then the full motion videos were like not even worth it. Like I don't even know why they even took the time to, like, they should have just kept it in game, because even the first one, it was just kind of like that, like the kanji that was thrown up, and then like a wind animation or something like that, and that was it. And I was like, oh, okay, that's all I got out of this. Then why waste my time? And which I guess kind of alludes to one of your things was.
Yes. There are so many loading screens. Why are there so many loading screens? This game is not complicated. It reminds me some of the apps and stuff that I have on my phone where it just they load every time you press a button, and it's like, how poorly did you design this? I don't understand why you need to load every 13 seconds.
Yeah, and that makes you wonder where did those 6 gigs go? Because it was just very strange.
6 gigs can be stored on the freaking RAM of the Xbox. Like what? Why are there load times?
It was crazy. And what else was crazy? I don't know if I didn't see this on yours, but the map was ridiculous.
It's hilarious. I'm glad it's on your dislikes. Please explain to our listeners what the map is.
So when you think of so the game, like, kind of alludes to this whole thing. Like, I think that's the other interesting part was the map only gets like revealed, I would say halfway, maybe even 45 minutes into my playthrough, where they're like, oh, now you have a mini map. Or no, they didn't even say mini map. They said map. Yes. I was like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Let's open this map.
Press the hamburger to open the map.
Press the hamburger to open the map. It was literally a slightly zoomed out version of the zone that you're in. I was like, wait, what? That's it? And I was like, why? Why did they do this? Like, that, like, when I was kind of looking at it, I was like trying to see if like the zone, nope, does nothing. It's just a slightly zoomed out version of your area.
It's a static image zoomed out with like a headshot of your character, roughly where your character is.
Right. You are here. It's like, I know where I am because I'm standing right there. I'm standing literally right there. I know where I am. And yeah, I thought that was so funny. I thought that was a joke. I thought that was a joke that they did that. And because like you would think a game like this, potentially you might have multiple objectives, and like a Metroidvania or style game, you would need to, like, you know, have maybe they plot out where all the objectives are, so you have to like kind of move the way. And I think at least like when I got to my near the end of my playthrough, I did have like it's the same objective, but it was like I had to go 2 different places to complete it, which was there was these 2 guys that were like carrying the bride's carriage, so to speak, and I had to go find out where they were. So I had to go to 2 different places. But again, like I couldn't really tell because the map was just ridiculous. So I don't know why they wasted resources on that. That was quite a shame. And Uh, while I did like the combat, I thought the parrying didn't feel great. It was there, and it kind of worked at times, but it was like, I don't know. It just like there was something off about it. Even that combo, even though it was a neat idea, like attack, pause, attack, it just didn't feel intuitive. A way to play it. But I mean, I give them credit for trying something, but it was. I don't think it was executed very well. But what else? Anything else you got here?
The only other thing I have, and it's kind of a little bit of a nitpick, is that there are grammatical errors all over the place in the subtitles.
Right.
There's like letters missing, capitalizations all over the place.
Yeah.
I mean, it's clear that this was developed in Chinese. You can see it with the kanji. And so some of this is just transcription / translation error.
Yeah.
But I mean, we are a big market over here. You know,
I mean, Game Pass has quite a few subscribers, so if you're going to be on here,
you'd want to just literally dot your I's and cross your T's.
Exactly.
On this one.
Yeah, and I gotta say, I thought I don't know if it was on purpose, but they had the terrible dubbing in this as well. The mouths would like continue to move while the audio would stop. And, it really gave me old Kung Fu movie vibes. And that was like, okay. I mean, maybe that was the thing, but, but they were speaking their native tongue. So I didn't know, they weren't dubbing for anything else. So it's like, what's going on? It was really bad. And there was one particular scene near the end of my playthrough where the animation was awful. Like there was this, I guess like a matchmaker or whatever, and she was screaming. And as she was screaming, like you could see they kept the original mouth still there, and then they had the screaming mouth like just layered on top of it. Like that again made me give that feeling of like it's a Flash game, because it was just like, oh, they were just too lazy to remove the other parts to make this look like it was a smoothly animated thing. So I was like, oh, good. That's not great. That's not great. So. Cool. Any other thoughts here then, Tom?
I have a couple little notes.
Okay.
So I want to start by saying that there is no Wikipedia page, and the developer website for this game is completely in Chinese.
Okay.
So my ability to research this title was fairly restricted.
Okay.
So the only thing that I do have to note is that all of the characters and art is hand-drawn. And the objective there was to capture the style of the traditional Chinese ink painting.
Okay.
So you are correct. It is in that style. That was a design choice, and it was all done by hand. So
I think they did. I think they nailed that part. I think they definitely nailed that part.
It does also explain why several frames appear to be missing, because they drew every single one of them individually.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, and I guess they were using like the flash tweeting or something like that to get the. I mean, it is a Unity game. That's the other thing too. How long to beat says this game takes about 5 hours to complete, so fairly short game.
This is completed 20%.
Yeah, we did maybe. Xbox Cloud saves and xCloud compatible with the controller. You do need a controller for it, so just keep that in mind. And now we need to know, is this a game that we are keeping on our respective hard drives, Tom?
Well, I don't think it's going to surprise anyone what I have to say here. Okay, so the visual presentation and the constant, and I mean constant, barrage of tooltips make this feel to me like it should be played on the phone. Now, the problem with that is the complexity and timing of the combos mean you need to have a controller to play it. Right. So I have no idea who the target demographic for this game is, but I'll tell you, it ain't me.
That's fair. That's fair, Tom. And to kind of piggyback on that, the game definitely felt unfinished. They needed like another few months to iron out the localization, some of the animations, stuff like that. And it was only 5 hours. Like they couldn't find a QA person to just go through this another day, or quality person. So that was really disheartening, and I just didn't feel compelled to keep going, even though, again, like you just mentioned, we were at 20% of the game. I don't know. I don't feel like I want to go back to this experience. So it's a pass for me.
That said, if the developer needs somebody to correct the localization, feel free to reach out to us, and I'd love to do that for you, because
why not?
I love fixing people's grammar.
There you go. Tom's our resident grade school teacher. So there you go. So those are our thoughts. Let us know what you think of this game. Follow us and say hello on Twitter at TC1H1D, or shoot us an email at TC1H1D@outlook.com. Check out our next streams on Twitch at twitch.tv/1H1D. And if you're watching this on YouTube, send us a comment down below. Maybe we played this wrong. I don't know. But it didn't work for both of us. And 1H1D is part of that QTV network. And if you like any kind of cool gaming content, check it all out at quitthebill.com/network. Tom.
Yes.
Let's find out the very beginning. I don't know. Let's find out what we're playing next, shall we, Tom? On our next episode. 155 even.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I've lost track of the Pokemon.
They're all gone at this point.
It's one of the starters for the next generation.
Yes. But the surprise button is going to help us with this one. So here we go. Okay. Supraland. 6 inches under.
I feel like I've heard of Supraland.
I think so,
this
too.
Sounds like it might be a sequel to Superland. Of course,
you're right,
of course, let's play a sequel to a game we haven't played.
That's what we got to do. We always got to play that sequel. So that is our next episode. So thank you so much, everyone, for tuning into this one, and we will catch you in the next one.
Thanks, everybody.